Overall, we expect a slight degradation in the security environment in Afghanistan over 2017. The ongoing international military drawdown has placed increasing pressure on the security forces. There are now just 8,400 US troops in Afghanistan, alongside several thousand NATO forces and partner nations. That's a significant decrease from 2012, when there was more than 130,000 troops. And this means that now more than ever, the Afghan forces are facing insurgent threats on their own. In addition to a smaller number of international forces over 2016, we saw a slight increase in the attrition in the Afghan army in particular, as well as an increase in the number of civilian casualties. So we saw 8,397 civilian casualties in the first 9 months of 2016, which is a substantial increase and is in fact the highest number on record since 2009. In addition, we also saw the Taliban progressing an aggressive campaign against the security forces. They almost captured the provincial capital of Kunduz city in the north and Lashkargah in the south. Taking all these factors into consideration, while we don't anticipate a precipitous collapse or decline in security, it is going to be another tough year for the security forces. One positive development for the Afghan government is that following a steady decline in international funding since 2012, it now appears to have stabilized. The government will receive $5 billion for the security forces over the next 3 years, as well as $3.5 billion in development funding. And that increases our confidence that the government will remain financially viable out to 2020. Nevertheless, the government does face political issues, especially between President Ashraf Ghani and Chief Executive Abdullah Abdullah. In particular, they have an ongoing dispute regarding electoral reform, which has both resulted in delays to the parliamentary election, but is also paralysing policymaking. Corruption also remains a critical issue, and although President Ghani has made substantial efforts to address this, most recently by tackling business tax evasion, his efforts are likely to be prevented from having a substantial impact by the low institutional capacity of the Afghan government. The peace process in Afghanistan faltered in 2016, although there are some prospects for its renewal in 2017. We saw in May the peace process between the Taliban and the Afghan government faltered after the leader of the group, Mullah Akhtar Mansour, was killed, and the newly appointed leader subsequently indicated that he was not interested in pursuing anything further over 2016. One positive development, though, is later in the year, the smaller militant group Hezb-e Islami indicated they would pursue a peace process with the government. Now, while the deal was largely symbolic and didn't lead to a decrease in violence, it does provide a model for other groups to pursue a process with. Indeed, in recent months, IHS market sources indicate that a splinter faction of the Taliban, led by Mullah Rasul, have been considering reconciling with the government. Nevertheless, it's harder for the larger Taliban movement to reconcile because several of the hardline senior commanders continue to insist that foreign forces must withdraw before they engage in any talks. The presence of the Islamic State in Afghanistan is complicating the security environment both for the government but also for the Taliban. The Taliban view the Islamic State of Khorasan province, as it's known, as a threat to both their jihadist credentials and also to their claim to dominance over the insurgent space. For the government, the Islamic State is a threat in that it threatens to disrupt ethnic and sectarian harmony, and also provides an alternative for militants who might be dissatisfied with the Taliban. They can go and join Islamic State. We've seen a significant effort by the Afghan security forces to target the Islamic State, which has resulted in the closure and elimination of their chapters in southern and western Afghanistan, although their eastern chapter remains resilient. Although their numbers diminished from 3,000 to 1,500 at the end of 2016, they'd still been able to conduct several successful high-profile attacks, and notably on 25 July, they conducted a bombing in Kabul which resulted in 80 dead and 200 injured, and that was the largest single attack over 2016. While we expect that counter-terrorist operations will limit Islamic State's expansion, we still believe that the group will continue to conduct occasional high-profile attacks in Kabul, as well as target the security forces in eastern Afghanistan.